That is to say, good morning. Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united by our desire to grow in love and in service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you are welcome here. Whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or are here with us this morning for the first time, you are welcome. I'm Reverend Sharon Wiley, Chalice's minister. Our worship musician this morning is our music director, Tim McKnight, and our song leaders are Jennifer Savion and Lara Brown. Welcome to this online worship service. For those of you who like to use the chat box during the service, which you're welcome to do, and sometimes you're explicitly invited to do, please be sure that when you post, that you've opened the little blue menu in the chat and that you've selected panelists and attendees. If you only post to panelists, almost no one will see what you posted because I'm the only panelist and I may not see what you wrote. And we want everyone to be able to read all of the posts. So this is me standing on the courtyard on our campus, standing at the door of our chapel, greeting you, especially after a tumultuous week, another tumultuous week like this one. We might share a hug. Give yourself a hug if you'd like to. If you share space with someone else, maybe give them a hug this morning too. It is good to be together. I want to especially welcome those of you who are newcomers at Chalice. In addition to this online worship, I want you to know that many of our groups and activities continue to happen online as well. Activities like our Women's Book Club, Men's Breakfast Group, support groups, religious education for children, all these and more are happening online. You don't need to be a member to participate in our groups and activities. You just need to get onto our email list. And so if you'd like to do that, and if you have any questions, and we'd very much like to welcome you, invite you to stay put here after the service, and we'll chat in the chat box and answer any questions you might have. Now, I invite us all to take a breath together. We begin our service by acknowledging that wherever each of us is watching, if we are in what is now called the United States, then we are on land stolen from indigenous peoples. Our congregational home is in what is now called Escondido, is on land that is part of the traditional territories of the 12 bands of the Kumeyaay Nation and the 7 bands of the Payam Kuchum, also called Luiseño. Land that is sacred to us now was stolen from people for whom that land was also sacred. As we continue our work as a community of shared faith, may we strive to build relationships with Kumeyaay and Payam Kuchum peoples, and may we learn to give back in abundance. Now we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. The flaming chalice was first used during World War II by the Unitarian Service Committee as a symbol of life-saving refuge for people fleeing persecution in Europe. May our chalice flame burn brightly, that all who are seeking may find us. The words of our call to worship. This was a difficult week again. This is a difficult time still. The world full of chaos and conflict still. People are dying. Storms threaten. Turmoil abounds. Again, still, like always. We gather together each week, sheltered against the storm, sheltered together against storms that have been raging for decades, for millennia. Each wounded soul is welcome here, each broken heart, each weary spirit. Together we take shelter and sing and cry, mourn and rejoice, hopeful that our shared healing here will in turn help heal a hurting world. Let us worship together. You are invited to join in singing. Our Sunday worship is the shared spiritual practice of our community, and we tend to the congregation during this time by honoring our joys and sorrows. If you would like to share a joy or sorrow with the congregation this morning, now is the time for sharing in the chat box. These won't be shared out loud, so you don't need to be worried about them being captured on the recording. If you would like to share send me a confidential note about your joy or sorrow, please email me. I'll put my email address in the chat box. Our story is called Her Body Can, written by Katie Crenshaw and Addie Mesk, illustrated by Lee Liu. Her body can smile, frown, rest, or hustle. She's oh so much more than brains, bones, and muscle. Her body can wear any color or costume, on the bus, at the park, on stage, in the classroom. Her body can play with all friends of each size. Worth is not measured by the shapes of our thighs. Her body can choose kale or cake, yummy, yummy. Food is her fuel and feels good in her tummy. Her body can run, jump, spin, and dance. She's not afraid to give new moves a chance. Her body can shop at the stores she likes best. She gets to choose how she wants to dress. Her body can swim and splash in the pool. A one-piece or two-piece will help her stay cool. Her body can pose for pictures, say cheese. She'll love looking back at the fun memories. Her body is beautiful, strong, kind, and wise. All bodies are lovely, no matter their size. Her body can dream of all the places she'll go, from Paris to London, perhaps Tokyo. Her body can know that words people say shouldn't hurt her or change her or push her away. Her body can look at herself in the mirror. She is perfectly perfect. It's never been clearer. Her body can go over and under and through. And what her body can, darling, yours can do too.
I wish that I could have seen, like, when I was 12 and I was just like feeling terrible every single day. I wish that I could have seen a woman who looked like me. Like, I wish that I think that it could have had a very positive impact. If I can give that to somebody else, then I definitely would like to do that. My favorite parts of my body are the parts that I hated for so long. I mean, like my belly, for instance. I've had such a conflicted relationship with this part of my body. And when I started practicing yoga, it didn't go away. That feeling kind of intensified. And then I started photographing my practice, and I would look at the photos and be like, my belly is still here, but like, I'm strong as fuck. Like, I'm out here doing all this stuff. Like, how can I continue to throw shade on this part of my body that is a very crucial part of who I am? When I first started, I would always make sure, like, I would practice in underwear, and then I would go put on leggings for the photos. And then I realized that, like, there are no curvy people like showing their bodies in this way, and therefore there are a lot of people who are repulsed by it, and they see that and they're just like, ugh, your body is so blah blah, you know what I mean? Like, they're offended by it, and you're offended by it because it rubs up against what you were taught to believe, and that's fine. But I'm gonna continue to do it and continue to show you that so that you can stop thinking that way. I underestimated my body for years. I always thought that because I'm fat, because I'm like not the tallest, I'm not like, quote, the prettiest, that there's always going to be something wrong with me. But as I've gotten older and the more that I practice yoga, the more I realize that there is this really subtle elegance and grace to every human action. There are people who come into my classes and they'll be like, are you the yoga teacher? And they have this look on their faces like, this couldn't really be the case. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm the teacher. And then they immediately look just like, fuck, now I got this fat girl in here who's gonna try to teach me yoga, and I gotta pay her $15 to not have a good experience. And it's always that exact same person who, like, halfway through the class is dying, and they're just like, oh my God. And then at the end, they're like, that was so amazing, I didn't know that. And then I'm like, what didn't you know? You don't know everything. I mean, I guess the part of my body that I like to look at is my shoulders and my arms, because I definitely come from a family of women who are like, you have to cover up your arms, especially if you have, arm fat, you need to take care of that. And so for me, being at a place where it's like, I'm completely fine with this is amazing. This, Whose World Is This? The World Is Yours. It's the start to a Nas song that I love. I am not a person that society would expect to see great things from, Like, as a woman of color, you definitely grow up thinking that, like, there are certain limitations to what it is that you're supposed to do. And so if I say, like, whose world is this? The world is yours. It's an incredible reminder of, like, I'm in control. I'm driving this car. I'm in control of what's happening. The world isn't just happening to me. I'm an active participant in it.
I hope you'll forgive me for a little bit of coarse language in that video. I'm normally very, very careful and respect that this is our worship space. But I didn't want you to miss out on what she had to say, just because she might use some words we don't normally hear on Sunday mornings. Today is the first day of Mental Illness Awareness Week in the United States, an event established by Congress in 1990. There are often free depression screenings and lots of good resource materials made available during this week. And I find that because we are living through a pandemic, there is already a lot of good resources available, and depression screenings are available online, things like that. If you want more support for how you are coping these days, and especially if you are unsure or wondering if you have symptoms that might need professional attention, let today be a good reminder that support and evaluation are available. You can make an appointment with your doctor. You can reach out to me to talk. You can Google San Diego mental health. What I want to talk about today is the diet culture we have in the United States, in California particularly, and in Southern California very particularly. And this diet culture contributes to the prevalence of eating disorders. At least 9% of the population will experience an eating disorder in their lifetime. And I say at least because eating disorders are underdiagnosed. So we can't assume that what we know is accurate. Eating disorders have a high fatality rate and should be taken very seriously. Statistically speaking, if there are about 100 of us online together right now, 9 of us will have an eating disorder sometime in our lifetime. And we do have multiple congregants currently diagnosed with eating disorders, which is why this is a topic of vital importance to us as a community. Now, there is lots to know and learn about eating disorders, but that's not specifically what I want to talk about this morning. I hope if you're interested, you will Google. Again, there are organizations and fact sheets and toolkits for supporting people with eating disorders. So I don't want to be dismissive. I'm not being dismissive of that. But what I want us to talk about as a community is diet culture. We are swimming in the water of a culture that supports and hides disordered eating. And most of us, I'm guessing, don't notice it. Diet culture, we could also call it wellness culture, is all the stuff we talk about all the time, like, I need to eat more broccoli. I shouldn't eat so many chips. We're trying to eat clean. We only eat organic. I don't eat sugar. That was me for a long time. Remember, I didn't eat sugar for years and years. We have all of us, or almost all of us, said things like this. We might have already said things like this just this morning. The trouble with all that talk is that it puts food into the categories of good and bad, and we assign a moral judgment of ourselves that we are good or bad depending on what we're eating. We've said that too, right? Oh, I ate too much, whatever it was. I'm so bad. These might seem like innocuous statements, but they help create and sustain a culture that assigns judgment and morality to our food choices. If I convince you of nothing else today, if I could only accomplish one thing this morning, it's this: that we make a commitment to stop talking about food as good or bad, unless we're talking about good or bad tasting, that's fine. But that we stop assigning judgment and value to food as part of our communal chit chat. So when we're back together on Sunday mornings, or when we're at the church potluck, or buying cinnamon rolls for the fundraiser, that we won't use language that evaluates some food as good and healthy and other food as bad and unhealthy. It's not that diet culture creates eating disorders, although it doesn't help, but diet culture supports eating disorders and helps keep them active and helps keep them hidden. We will be a stronger, more supportive community when we stop talking with each other about food, clothes, appearance, and weight. All of these topics are triggering to people with eating disorders, and we want to create an environment that is supportive of people with eating disorders. So I'm going to say those again. We want to stop talking about food, clothes, appearance, and weight. We have a strong cultural belief that having a small body is good and having a big body is bad. It is part of the norm of our culture that we consider small bodies healthy and big bodies unhealthy, no matter what the reality of health condition might be. This is where we start to get into an area that I don't feel is fully appropriate for a sermon in my role as a minister. I'm not a medical expert. I'm not your doctor, and you don't come to church for medical advice anyway. But we are a faith that values facts and science and reason. So what I want to say is this: consider that there is more to learn and know about the connection between weight and health than what you know right now. More importantly, let me tell you that there is more and more evidence that healthy behaviors support health regardless of weight. There are 4 healthy habits that contribute to our health and well-being no matter what we weigh. These habits are not smoking, limiting alcohol consumption, eating 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables a day, and exercising over 12 times a month. You do not need to lose weight in order to cultivate these healthy habits. But I also want to say, none of us owes healthy habits to anyone else. We're not responsible for each other. We're not here to judge each other. So whether you are pursuing health or not is nobody's business but your own. I feel like that's a very shocking thing to say in Southern California. So I can't talk about this topic without talking about myself. I spent 10 years of my life losing and regaining weight 3 times. I knew the calorie count of every item I put in my mouth. I wrote it all down. I logged my weight. When we went out to eat, I obsessed over the menu ahead of time, trying to figure out what I could eat. When I regained the weight for the 3rd time, that's when I finally realized something was going on with my body that I didn't understand. And I sat down and Googled regaining weight. And I learned that the majority of people who set out to lose weight do, but the majority, the overwhelming majority, regain the weight within 2 to 5 years, just as I had. And this is when I learned that losing and gaining weight over and over is really bad for our bodies. It creates health problems. So if the majority of people who lose weight regain it, and if losing and gaining weight over and over again is bad for us, why is there still so much emphasis in our culture on weight loss as a path to health? Well, you know why, right? Healthy eating, nutrition, and weight loss is an industry sector valued at $702 billion globally, according to numbers from 2018. $702 billion globally. When the stay-at-home orders came, my social media filled with posts from friends who felt bad about how much they were eating. The name for this kind of anxiety or fear is fat phobia, because the implicit assumption is that gaining weight and being fat is one of the worst things that could happen to any of us. The word fat is so often used as a pejorative. It's supposed to be this terrible thing. But the fat acceptance movement invites all of us to know that fat is just an adjective. I'm fat. I'm considered obese by Western medicine. And I'm so much happier now than I was in my 10 years of dieting. My rule for food is that I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, as much as I want. Food is delicious. When we feel bad, food can be soothing and comforting, nourishing. And I have absolutely had a pantry full of delicious snacks every day since the stay-at-home orders came. It is liberating to enjoy food without guilt or shame. I didn't have an eating disorder when I was dieting, but when I look back on it, I can see that I was close. Obsessing about every bite of food you put in your mouth isn't far off from an eating disorder. I know that many of you have health diagnoses where you have been asked to lose weight. And I know that many of you have successfully addressed health problems in part through changing your eating. I'm not here to say that everything we've been told is a lie. I am here to say that not everything we've been told about weight and health is the truth, that there is still more to learn, and there is more for science to discover. If you are interested in this topic, the phrase you want to Google, I'm going to put it in the chat, is health at every size, HAES. It's a trademark name. It starts with a book, and now there's HAES certifications for nutritionists and those kinds of things. And if you are doing anti-racism work, and I hope you are, you can also Google racism and fat phobia, because our fat phobia is part of white body supremacy, and it is deeply rooted in fear of Black bodies. There's a great book on this topic by sociologist Sabrina Strings. I want you to remember the speaker we heard so powerfully telling her story earlier, Jessamine Stanley. The first thing she said, and she started to tear up, she said, "I wish that I could have seen when I was 12 and feeling terrible every day. I wish that I could have seen a woman who looked like me. I think it could have had a very positive impact." It is not a sin to be fat. It's not shameful. It's not wrong. Fat people have inherent worth and dignity. These should not be radical statements, but in the culture we live in, they feel pretty radical to say out loud. I invite you to join in singing. The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. As Buddhist teacher Sharon Salzberg writes, generosity is characterized by the inner quality of letting go or relinquishing, being able to let go, to give up, to renounce, to give generously. These capacities spring from the same source within us. When we practice generosity, we open to all of these liberating qualities simultaneously. Please text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't texted a donation before, please know that once you text the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to follow to enter your credit card information. And once you've entered that credit card information once, when you've donated, you won't need to enter it again. If your Sunday donation is part of your pledge payment, please be sure to indicate the word pledge after the dollar amount. And a reminder that you can make a text donation anytime. It doesn't need to be during the service. I'll put the phone number in the chat box and it's coming up on the screen in just a moment. Please give generously. Please join in dedicating our offering with words of affirmation. May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration.
There is a love
Let's just take another breath together. I'm so grateful for our sharing in the chat and for people's candor. And I didn't expect it to be so intense this morning. So let's just just take an extra moment and hold each other. All this, and we are living in an age of consequences. Each week seems like a decade these days. Last Sunday, 1 week ago, the New York Times broke a story about the president's tax returns. Tuesday was the presidential debate, including his apparent refusal to denounce white supremacy. Thursday evening, we learned he had tested positive for COVID-19. There are jokes on the internet that future historians will specialize in specific days in 2020, that it will be impossible to be knowledgeable about all of it with sufficient expertise. And we're the people living through it. I hope that if you are someone who attends Chalice worship regularly, that you know by heart at least some of the things I recommend to help us get through difficult times like these. Be gentle with yourselves. Try to stay in the moment. Try to stay in today. Leave tomorrow's troubles for tomorrow. Work on developing or strengthening your spiritual practice, like prayer or meditation. Take care of your physical self. Eat well. Drink water. Get yourselves outdoors for some fresh air and sunshine. Move your body. Spend time with family and friends. Depending on your situation, that could be a socially distanced visit, could be a Zoom call or a phone call, could be writing a letter or sending a card. Have a plan for getting your vote turned in. It's a month away. Make sure your friends and family have plans for getting their votes turned in. Parents with young children are carrying many extra burdens right now. So if you are a parent, please think ahead and ask for help if you need it to get your ballot turned in. And if you are able to offer support to parents who need help getting their ballot turned in, be sure to do so. If you're not registered to vote or you aren't sure if you're registered to vote, let us know. One of our congregants has offered to help you figure it out. Just a month away. Hang in there. Hugs and love. We've made it this far, and we're in it together.
Every day is so wonderful, then suddenly it's hard to breathe. Now and then I get insecure from all the pain. I'm so ashamed. I am beautiful, no matter what they say. Words can't bring me down. I am beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can't bring me down. So don't you bring me down today. To all your friends, you're delirious, so consumed, and all your doom that you're beautiful as you feel. I have often asked myself the reason for the sadness in a world where tears are just a lullaby. If there's any answer, maybe love can end the madness. Maybe not, oh, but we can only try. You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. The people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful as you feel, 'cause we are beautiful no matter what they say. Yes, words won't bring us down. We are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can't bring us down. Oh no. So don't you bring us down today. You've got to get up every morning and say, don't you bring me down today. You're as beautiful as you feel. You're so beautiful.
Our closing words come from Reverend Joanna Fontaine Crawford. May you go forward knowing that life is fragile and a gift, that you are lovable and loved, and you are not alone. Love and blessings to each of you. Blessed be.
Drink